Okay, everyone, welcome back. We have Grant Ronald from Oracle with us, our special guest. And
It's nice to meet you guys.
Hi, Grant.
hi, Grant. Now, since this is a conversation design oriented meetup, tell us your background a bit. How did you get into conversation?
So we at Oracle have been building chatbot platform, and our applications teams have been using that for the last 5 years or so. And what we found is, and my focus was on the technology as a developer, and people were building, but they didn't quite know how to build great bots. They were building technical bots. And so we really recognize that, this key missing ingredient, which a lot of you guys will know the value of, but we would just hadn't really discovered the importance, was that conversational design. The fact that, you design a car, you design a database, but no one ever thought that you design a conversation. And so, we've got UX research teams in Oracle who were starting to break this down. And for me, it was the probably the most common reason for failure in bot projects was lack of thinking about the bigger picture conversational design. So I had my approach then was, okay, we need to find out, we need to read, we need to connect with people. And so it's kind of just by accident I got into the conversational design thing, because we realized that was the secret sauce that made chatbots, good rather than just being functional.
Just as a point of interest, how did you get into conversation design? From what other area of expertise did you naturally flow into that?
Well, I always, purely personally, I always had an interest in a lot of my background as a developer was on the front end development. So we kind of knew the importance of user experience, user design. And I guess I'd always had a bit of an interest in language anyway.
So it comes from UI, basically.
For me, it was because I was a kind of front end developer with most of my time, that we realized the importance. It just changed from colors and fonts to language and words was the move.
So, we were talking a bit earlier about personality and how important it is for the verticals that we work in, which are mostly entertainment. And I'm curious to get from you, how important is personality when it comes to enterprise and digital assistants or digital companions?
That's a great question, because I've often thought about this, that, why is it important that your HR or ERP or some kind of mundane enterprise system has a personality? You can really see it in commercial, but why does it matter in your kind of enterprise apps? And the thing is, it hugely does, because, when we talk to people, we want to have an engaging conversation. So the medium really lends itself, or the expectation that this should be engaging. And what we found with a lot of these apps where I was getting involved looking at and reviewing was that for many of them, I'd say this sounds like I'm speaking to a Victorian grandfather. It's very stiff and it's very formal. And it uses words like invalid ID. I mean, who says the words invalid ID in a conversation? You'll say something like, oh, sorry, that phone number didn't seem to work, or was that the right number you gave me? But we would say things like invalid ID. You could actually see almost the database errors coming out in the conversation, because the developer would see, oh, I've got this Aura 600 error, that's invalid ID. I'll say invalid ID.
Please enter your something instead of give me.
Exactly. Words like, and this is something our UX teams came up with, picking words that work both on the voice and the written channel, like tell me, not enter your name or whatever. And it's all those little subtle things, but personality, and we run these workshops now, even with our own apps and our customers, to say, one of the first things you come up with is, who is your bot? Who is it? Because when you are coming up with those error messages or the bot's conversing, you've got to get inside that mindset and say, well, who's speaking this? What would she say if she was telling you this problem or something? So it's become number one. Now, it doesn't have to be a really extreme personality, but you've just got to think about what is the personality? Just think in that personality.
Tell me, have you encountered in the space that you operate in a lot of collaboration or reuse of code or some kind of joint effort to use something that was developed in like one place in another place?
From a purely technical point of view, one of the things that we do in if you think in an Oracle situation where we have all these different teams building SaaS applications, there's some that are building HR, some at the expenses or finance, and they're building these individually. And one of the things that we wanted to do was allow companies to reuse these, what we now call skills. I think we all understand what a skill is, and assemble these under a digital assistant. So reuse became quite a major factor for us, because we wanted to say, look, for customer A, you have these 10 applications, but for customer X, you have a different set of applications, but you should be able to just bring those together and assemble them together. And the digital assistant should be able to work out, well, when you ask me, I want to, book some time off or something, we know that that's the HR skill that deals with that. So reuse was pretty key in terms of a general approach for us building our platform and the people using it.
Only in your ecosystem.
Sorry?
Only in the Oracle ecosystem.
Well, no, I mean, it's a good question. So, yeah, I mean, certainly elements of reuse is quite heavily around our own platform, but there's generic areas where things like back-end integration are used using technology like Node.js. So that can be kind of used and shared across different vendors as well. You
used interchangeably the terms digital assistant and bot or chatbot. Do you see a distinction between the two terms?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We I kind of mix and match the terms, but there are really distinct differences. So for us, chatbot skills are individual kind of bots that do a set unit of work. The idea where we're going with a digital assistant is twofold. One is the digital assistant becomes the umbrella for many skills, so that you as a company, you don't have to go and find the right chatbot. You speak to your chatbot and say, hey, Oracle, book me next Friday off work. And it knows which skill to go to. So that's one element of digital assistant. It kind of assembles together many skills or chatbots.
Or a brain, or it decides.
Yeah, it's the intelligent, it's the router. Yeah. It's the router or air traffic control. But the other thing that's important for us in terms of a digital assistant, which is more of a kind of where we want to get to, is personalization and proactiveness as well. So that when I say to the digital assistant, give me the latest monthly reports, it will know me and say, well, you're the HR manager, so that must mean the HR report. Whereas if I was a finance manager, then the same utterance would be different. Exactly. So we'll deal with personalization, and out of personalization then comes the proactive element. That if we know that every Monday you're doing this particular task or whatever it might be, we can proactively go and say, hey, we've done this for you. Is that okay? We've approved these things, or we've created these 5 reports that you always ask for. Yeah, is that fine? So, but that's kind of the next step ahead. But those are really where we see the differences with digital assistant and skills.
If you wanted to hold a long, deep, serious conversation with a machine, it would probably be a chatbot and not a personal assistant, because it will have to be an expert in the field in which it converses. So probably the personal assistant or the digital assistant will direct the conversation to some entity that can hold a deep context dialogue.
Exactly. The digital assistant, and certainly when you look at our development environment, it's simply you create a digital assistant and you drag and drop in, or you select the various skills or bots that you want this digital assistant to contain, and then you train it because it looks at what's in each of those skills and has an idea of, well, you deal with things about HR, you deal with things about expenses, and so when you ask a question, it knows
components, so to speak, to handle this particular situation.
Or skill in this case.
Or skill. If you had access to all of Alexa's skills, let's say that Amazon went crazy and opened all its skills to Oracle. Okay, then you could have 10,000 different skills that your digital assistant would be able to access. That would be nice, right?
No, because again, it's based on each of the skills that we develop in our platform are specific for our digital assistant. So yeah, we're keeping it within that Oracle ecosystem. That so it will only be the skills that we develop.
Everything. You have to rely on someone from the Oracle ecosystem to develop a weather component, whilst maybe Alexa already has it.
Right, but if you think about the Oracle ecosystem, is that we're probably building stuff that are quite specific for particular functional pillars. That's true. So, but there's nothing to say we cannot access, for example, public APIs that give you the weather, for example.
Well, I don't want to go too deep into the technical because this is the crowd here is mostly conversation designers like me. And
we'll do it privately then, Grant.
So two things I want to ask you. I come from the background of filmmaking. Yaki comes from philosophy and language, linguistics, and programming. The people that are watching or people that might be interested in becoming conversation designers, where do you think they come from? What fields do you think are suited for this type of position?
UI, you heard it.
UI.
Oh, it's. Do you know what? When I often talk about the importance of conversation design, I often use the example of, you think Elton John, who was a fantastic songwriter, but didn't write his lyrics. That was all by Bernie Taupin. And people can come from any walks of life. I think you've just got to have a great idea about words. It might even be, it could be people who are coming from a kind of film scripting background, copywriting. It could even be, certainly in Oracle's case, or more enterprise, people from a marketing side. Some of our most successful customers that we've worked with actually got small digital agencies to come in and craft the personality and craft the wording. And then once they had a really strong personality, the actual development team were pretty good at getting in the mindset of the bot and speaking in the bot as well. So I think you just needed to give people a push in the right direction to what is conversational design. What are the good things? What are the things people get wrong, and get people thinking about that. So, and again, that's where personality, I think, was really important. That once you got inside the bot's personality, it was easier to start crafting words yourself.
Comedians was great.
Stand-up comedians are good material for conversation designer.
Also journalists.
Right.
Because they know how to ask the right questions.
Mm-hmm. Interviewers.
So let me ask you something about the training. We spend a lot of time in the feedback loop, reviewing conversation logs and improving, How much of that do you rely on? How important is that in your daily work routine?
It's not them, it's the people that develop with their platform.
So, So there's a phrase we use in one of our training slides where we say, the day your bot goes live is not the day you pop the champagne, because that's when the hard work starts. So again, it's one of those things trying to teach people that your bot goes live. It's probably the most stupid that it's going to be on that day. And you've got to have the buy-in from your business that this bot is going to fail. I mean, we've had some customers that will turn the bot on literally for a minute, and if something goes wrong, they turn it off again. They're just paralyzed. And we say to them, no, you've got to have a buy-in that you will learn from the bot mistakes when things go wrong, and you've got to have this ongoing cycle, whether it's every day or every week, where you go through your conversation logs, you work out what the things people are asking, how you can better train the bot. And we talk about this 80-20 split, where you train your bot with 80% of the phrases you've harvested and 20% you keep for testing. so that you're always testing the bot against things it doesn't know about, you haven't been trained on, and that way you're always kind of you've always got a baseline to know, is my bot getting smarter and smarter over time. But yeah, that whole repeat, that rinse repeat cycle is super important. If you're not doing it,
exactly that point.
Yeah, you're not going to get far.
As you heard before.
Yeah, I agree. I think.
Excellent. Yeah. And in fact, it's really relevant at the moment, because obviously with the coronavirus thing, we're working with a lot of health authorities, and one of the things we're saying to them is that we will be working with them on a 24-hour cycle where we are looking at the bot, finding out what people are asking, new questions, and getting that fed back in. We cannot wait 6 weeks to find out things people are asking the bot that it didn't understand. We're actually doing it as an ongoing 24-hour cycle.
Excellent.
Okay, so last question for you. Let's say I'm a conversation designer and I want to go into the field. What would you recommend? Where do I start? What do I do? Is there...
Get a job at Oracle.
Do you know, I've been really warmed by the response I've got from LinkedIn, all you guys, conversational designers. I feel there's a real warmth in terms of people recognizing that this is important, but we're still finding where we get in. So I would get out on LinkedIn, meet up with people, because there's an amazing community of people who are willing to share and work together. So yeah, and I'm learning so much from you guys as well. So we never stop learning.
Great.
Grant, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys asking me and putting this on, because this is great stuff.
Great, and we're in a Discord stream answering questions right now. So if people want to ask questions about Oracle and Grant's there, you can answer them. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
Bye.